This is Matt. He is going to take the Everything DiSC Workplace Assessment. We're going to slow down the process so that you can look behind the screen and see how his assessment is being scored while he's taking it. So let's get started. Matt is first presented with the DiSC base items. DiSC base items are items that are used in all applications of DiSC from workplace to work of leaders. He'll answer them using a Likert scale. A Likert scale offers Matt a way to communicate how much he agrees or disagrees with each item. The scale goes from 1 to 5, with 1 being strongly disagree and 5 being strongly agree. The numbers on the Likert scale are used to give a numerical value to how much Matt endorses an item. For instance, Matt marked strongly agree next to I can be blunt. That means that item is valued at a 5 when scoring his assessment. For scoring purposes, there are 8 DiSC scales: D, DI, I, IS, S, SC, C, and CD. After Matt completes all of the base items, his item responses are placed on their respective scales. All of the D items are placed on the D scale, and so it goes for the other items. Then Matt's 8 DiSC scale scores are calculated by averaging the responses to all items using the Likert values we talked about earlier. Now, let's take a closer look at how Matt responded to the items. Was he consistent in how he endorsed items on the same scale? To answer this, we look at the variance on each scale. The variance is a measurement of how far the set of numbers is spread out. On the D scale, Matt was consistent. Matt answered all of the D items in a similar way. For the item I can be blunt, he responded strongly agree, giving it a value of 5. For other D items, like I am dominant, Matt gave the response agree, a value of 4, or strongly agree, a value of 5. So he answered in a consistent manner. But he was inconsistent in the way he answered items on the S scale. So let's take a closer look. Matt responded disagree to the base item I am mild-mannered, which gives it a value of 2. But he responded to the base item I am even-tempered with strongly agree, or a value of 5. He showed this same varied pattern with other S items, responding strongly agree to half of the items, and responding disagree to the rest. So Matt will get 5 more items for the S scale. There are a lot of 2 values, but also a lot of 5 values. His responses have a high variance because the scores are spread far apart. In practical terms, because Matt was inconsistent in his responses to the items on the S DiSC scale, we're not sure about where Matt should score. So we ask more questions called extended items. Extended items measure the same concepts or ideas that the base S items measured and will increase the precision of the assessment. Giving Matt the extended items for the S scale is a form of adaptive testing. For most people who respond consistently to conceptually similar items, the assessment is kept short. But for people like Matt, who answer inconsistently to conceptually similar items, extra information is gathered, making the assessment more precise, but a little longer. So Matt will get 5 more items for the S scale. After Matt completes all of the S extended items, his S scale score is recalculated. Matt has now completed the items used to calculate his DiSC scale scores for the assessment. Matt's DiSC scale scores will be used to determine which of the 12 styles fits him best. For most respondents, there is a clear preference for one style over the other 11. But for some, like Matt, it can be unclear. Based on the DiSC scale scores, it's unclear if the best fit for Matt is a D style or an I style. Both seem to fit him equally. This brings us to the second type of adaptive testing we use for the Everything DiSC assessment, clarifying questions or tiebreaker items. So we will gather more information from Matt to help determine which style fits him best. Here, Matt is shown a set of 2 statements, each of which describes a different DiSC style for which Matt had similarly high scores. We know from his scores that both of these statements represent styles that are somewhat descriptive of Matt. He is deciding between D and I clarifying questions. Matt chooses the point on the line that best describes where he falls on the continuum. He decides that the statements on the D side of the continuum fit him better than those on the I side. This information is used to determine Matt's final style assignment. Typically, about 6% of respondents receive clarifying items. Now that Matt's style assignment is complete, the precise placement of the dot still needs to be determined. Matt's DiSC scale scores and geometry are used to calculate two more pieces of information: how far the dot is from the center of the circle, or the inclination, and the exact location of his dot. These calculations place Matt as a D with strong inclination, meaning his dot is closer to the edge of the circle than the center. And that's how Matt's responses become a dot.